So in this video, I'm going to talk about keypress. What I have right now is a sketch with just a line and a stroke. And because I have P mouse X and P mouse Y on two of the coordinates, I could draw with this. So what I want is to be able to change this so this only draws on keypress. So we've done stuff like this before with mouse press. By the way, why does it start automatically from the top left-hand corner? I know I've talked about this with some of you guys individually, but the reason is because if I have something that's interactive, like my P mouse X and my mouse and my P mouse Y, it needs to input some numbers. And so because processing starts looping through the draw faster than I can get out here and draw, the first numbers it puts in until I start drawing is 0, 0. All right, so just like before we did, if I wanted to make this so it would only happen on mouse press, we would do that, right? And now it would only happen on mouse press. And I don't get that line starting from the top because it's waiting for me to press my mouse. Okay, we've done that before. So now we're just going to switch that to key press. And now on any key, I can choose any key, it's going to draw. Okay, so that's like a good first step, but we want to be able to use all of our keys. So the next step would be to specify. And I'm going to go, so I have my if key pressed, and then I'm going to come down a line, and I'm going to specify that I have to be on a key. So I'm going to write if key, and I'm going to put two equal signs, and then a single quote, so it's not double quote, single quote, A, and then close that out with my closing parenthesis and my closing curly bracket, and then of course I have to have another closing curly bracket. By the way, if you copy and paste this from the PowerPoint presentation, which you can, replace the single quotes because the single quotes from PowerPoint don't work here and you'll get an error. So now when I press play, if I hit S, I don't get anything. If I hit A, I get my drawing, again, only on the letter A. All right, so that's pretty much all that there is to it. It's pretty straightforward. So the rules are generally use keys in a cluster. So now I'm going to do something else with the key S because that's right next to A. And I just want to keep track of my closing brackets. This is the closing bracket for my key A. You see that? This is the closing bracket for my key press. I want my next key to be within the closing brackets of my key press, but not within the key A. So I'm going to come down and I'll start another one here. If key equals single quote again, S, close that out, come down a line, and I might as well just put my closing curly bracket so I don't get that confused. And I'll put in something else here. I'll put in, I'll also use a line. I'm just going to copy this, but I'll give this one just a white stroke. Okay, so now on key A, I get my random colors, and on key S, I get my white colors, and on any other key, I don't get anything else. So a couple of things I want to explain. Why the two equal signs? Because whenever you're in an if statement, essentially you're asking a question. Is my key equaling S is really what you're asking. And you're not declaring my key to equal S. When we do our variables like int x equals 10 up here, for example, this is declaring, right? Remember you call this initialize and declare. I am saying x equals 10. So that is only one equal sign. But to be able to differentiate in programming when you're asking a question like, hey, does key equal A? Imagine there's a question mark here, then it's two equal signs. And then the other thing is just make sure you're keeping track of the closing brackets here. And so everything, you don't need to keep repeating if key press, just have all of these individual keys within the key press. Okay, so I'm going to do another one. This is a convenient one. Just have a restart by recalling your background. So let's start out, actually I'll put a background up here. No, sorry, I'm going to put it in my setup. I want to leave the trail. Background, 0, and then I'm going to have another one, and I'm just going to do a lot of copying and pasting here. I'll change my letter to now be D because that's right next to, or you know what, I'm going to make it E. That's what I have on the PowerPoint. And the reason I have it as E is because it's not like a drawing thing. It's something a little bit different. You know, I'm kind of erasing, so it makes sense to have it on a different line. I'm going to call background, put in the same color that I have originally. And now let's check this out. So on A, I get this cool thing. On S, I get this, and I hit E, and it erases, and I can start over. All right. So I have my shapes inside the key press, and I just want to show like what if my shapes were outside of the key press. So let's see, I could now I'm going to hit A, and it still looks the same, and I hit S, and it looks the same. I'm still just getting them on those letters. I hit A, and it goes back. I'm going to hit G, and look what I'm getting. And let's just hit A again so I go back to my, I'll erase it. E, hit A, and I'm going to hit U. And do you see what's happening? When my shape is outside of a specific letter for the key press, I can always get my shape. In this case, it's a line. And what it's doing is it's just picking up on the last color that I had under random. You really need to follow along and like make sure you have these sketches and processing and you're doing it yourself so you can see exactly what I'm talking about. So most of the time, I don't want to be able to draw with other letters. So if I really want to only be able to draw with S, E, and A, I have to make sure that my shape is only in the specific letter. Okay? So maybe that's something you wouldn't even have come across, but I just wanted to point it out just in case. All right, now let's just talk about the save frame. So we can use a key to specify save frame. So I'm going to do if key equals single quote. I'll do it. I have it S on my PowerPoint, but I'm going to pick W because again, it's like something kind of out of where I'm drawing with. You know, I'm going to use A, S, and D for my drawing tools, and I'll use like W and E for erase and save. And on the PowerPoint, I gave you like 3 different options. You can do any of them. I'm just going to do save frame, no arguments, semicolon. Okay, and this is just on a key press, so it should just like save when I press the key. So let's try this out. I'll do A, I'll do S, and I'll do W to save a frame, and then I'll do like a little bit more drawing, and then save a frame again, W, and let's close it and see how many frames it saved. Go to Sketch, Show Sketch Folder, and it saved 5 different stills, even though I only pressed the key W 2 times. So you guys can probably guess why it did it more times. And that's because even though it's only supposed to happen on a key press, this key press is in the draw. So if I'm really fast and I press W very, very quickly, I might get just 1. But if I hold down on W for a full second, it's probably because it's looping through the draw going to give me like 3 frames. So that's where I want to point out another code block, which is void key press. This is going to happen after your draw. So void key pressed. And I'm going to take out my if key equals W. I'm going to cut that out of here, and I'm going to put it in my void key press. And notice I don't need to write if key pressed again because everything that's in this code block only works on a key press. All right, so I'm going to also go up and clean out my folder. So I get rid of those other images so we can compare. Get rid of those guys. And let's try this again. Press play, do A, do some beautiful drawing, do S, hit W, and do A again, S, and hit W. All right, let's see. and it only saved 2 because in this code block, it doesn't repeat. So this is what I call single fire. It only does whatever I put in my key press in that specific key one time. There's no automatic loop in this void key press. And it's the same thing for the void mouse press. These other code blocks only work one time, just on either of the mouse press or the key press. Unlike this one where we've got that automatic loop. And if you look on the PowerPoint, by the way, fun fact, there are lots of other code blocks that you could explore. There's like a mouse dragged, a mouse wheel, so on and so forth. All right. So for your homework assignment, basically save this as a reference, but then I want you to start over. I don't want to see any sketches that have like my same code here, but I want you to create a simple drawing program. This is a homework, not like a project, but still try to make it look cool. A simple drawing program that uses 5 different key presses. All right, so 5 different key presses with different shapes going on in there. Not just simply, I mean, maybe 2 of them you could have the same shape and a different stroke, but not 5 lines with just different colors. So 5 different shapes. And I want you to have one that redraws the background, just like this, and then one void key press. All right. So create the program and then do some drawing with it to the point where you like what it looks like, and make sure that you save a frame that you can use that to post on discussion board. So you're saving a still of your drawing program. All right. Have some fun.